Y'all already know what time it is, man. Come on, hop into this time machine with a pimp. We about to travel back to that 2017, and we gonna get into the most legendary classic roasting of Freezes that unfortunately was never recorded. When I roasted the dog out of C-Note, who was featured in American Pimp alongside Gorgeous Dre, Kenny Red, Charm, RP, Payroll, and many others. So let's get into it. But first, wipe your feet off at the door when you step into a pimp's domain. Let's go.
But you want all this pimping you can't afford. Perform like a punk, but wanna win his reward. Some suckers give you points, but bitch, you never scored. If you ain't paying pimping, then bitch, you getting ignored.
Okay.
I'm so sick of these.
The story takes place in Las Vegas, Nevada, 2017, and it's a big night in Vegas. Mayweather versus McGregor. One of the biggest nights in Vegas in recent times. And man, it was popping. But before we get into the roasting, I got to give y'all the backstory that led up to the roasting, right? So everything begins with this punk ass broad that I knocked, right? Unfortunately, you know, she was, you know, everybody got regrets in the game. This chick right here is one of my biggest regrets. There's probably some others that I might regret a little bit more than her, but she definitely top 5 biggest regrets of chicks that I accepted into my company, right? So this chick had a reputation back in the days when she was younger, right? And Freeze knocked this chick in her latter years, right? You know, she was like Larry Bird in his prime, you know what I mean? She had some good accolades from her youth, right? But you know, Freeze knocked her in the latter end, you know, when she was on the brink of retirement, right? But she was still, you know, had some potential, but it just unfortunately wasn't realized, right? And during the time when I knocked her, she was still trying to, you know, win today's game with yesterday's points. You know that I was prime queen of king high school type of energy, right? But nonetheless, you know, I ends up with the chick, right? And because of her notoriety from her youthful years, a lot of cats still wanted this chick based on what she had did historically and not presently, right? So she was very popular, and she had a quote unquote pimp fan club, right? Now, obviously the spirit of pimping wasn't operating in these dudes, but it was a lot of alleged pimps that was a part of this chick's fan club. I mean, real fans of this chick, man. You know, I'm talking about meeting up with her, not trying to break on her, just all type of unpimpish stuff, right? So, needless to say, when Freeze ended up with this chick, and mind you, most of the guys who was a part of this chick's fan club were older than Freeze. So when young Freeze ends up with this chick, man, a lot of these decrepit dudes that was supposed to be pimps, you know what I mean? And even some younger ones, they you know, kind of had like a bitter taste in their mouth towards Freeze, right? But of course they wouldn't express it because it would appear to be very suckerish of them and unpimpish of them to just outright say that they was jealous of me for having this chick, right? But this is really what it was. So they kept their feelings suppressed for some time, right? Now, when me and this chick parted ways, I fired the chick, right? And when I fired the chick, she was trying very adamantly to get my attention. And, you know, I wouldn't accept her back. And, you know, she had done some things that was unforgivable. Like I talked about before, betrayal, right? She did some betrayal type shit. And she had Sinful locked up, or she played a role in Sinful being locked up, right? Right after I fired her. You know, I'm talking about like days after I fired her, she conspired with a student of Sinful's at the time to have Sinful locked up, right? So that's what made it, you know, when I first fired her, she might have had some action, but that right there sealed the deal. Never again, right? As Sinful to P would say, eternally denied, eternally blocked. But, you know, I used to see this chick out and about. She'll try to, you know, get a pimp's attention, but I was staying in pocket on her, you dig? So fast forward to about 6 or 7 months after I fires this chick, right? She on Snapchat and her fan club is tuned into her Snapchat and she going on a rant, right? And within her rant, she insinuated some things about me. She didn't say my name, but based on the way that she was talking and the things that she was saying, you know, her fan club knew that she was talking about me. So one of my partners shows me her rant where she's insinuating that I almost burnt her, meaning I almost gave her a disease, right? Which was, it wasn't an almost, it was a definitely not. But, you know, the chick was a hypochondriac, but that's a whole nother conversation, right? But she was insinuating that I almost burnt her. How you almost burn somebody, I don't know. Either you burn somebody or you don't. But when she did this, she had people, you know, buzzing around like, damn, did Freeze almost give her something? You know what I mean? So I gets on her head, right? But on Facebook. Now, at the time on Facebook, everybody in the game, you know, was a part of this group called the Cafe. It was a Facebook group for people in the game. And, you know, it was a very big group. It was like thousands of people in this group, right? So not everybody was a part of the game, but the majority of people in the group had something to do with the game. So I get on there and I blast the chick, right? So she and I start having this big thing on Facebook. And by me being a popular gentleman in the game, and her being a popular female in the game, people start taking sides. And, you know, she had a lot of chicks that were jealous of her. So a lot of the chicks was siding with me. And it was a lot of dudes that was jealous of me. So a lot of the dudes was siding with her, right? And one of the main dudes, the president, chairman of the fan club, was none other than C-Note, who some of you may know from American Pimp. He was probably the most insignificant individual in the film, but you know, you could see him in the film nonetheless, looking dusty as hell. But you know, he was one of her biggest fans. So through her, through what she and I was getting into it about, it evolved into he and I getting into it, right? Now, he blocked me on Facebook and we were never Facebook friends. I never went to his page, and his page was private. But not only was his page private, but he blocked me on there. And, you know, he started making some inflammatory statements about my pimping. And, you know, he was insinuating that, you know, Freeze had a incurable disease, right? So, needless to say, a pimp was very upset. And, you know, I got beside myself and got beside the game. And, you know, I really wanted to get physical with this guy. Pause, right? So, on several occasions when I would show up in Vegas, because that's where he was living at the time, you know, I would go live. I have my phone like, yeah, you buster ass ninja, where you at? You know what I mean? I'm over here on Tropicana. I'm over here on Flamingo. Where you at? I'm at the such and such casino. I'm at this casino. I'm at that casino. Pop your ass out. Where you at? You know what I mean? I was trying to run that fade. Of course, he wasn't popping out. You know, he'll act like he was in one location. Then I'll pull up over there and he won't be there. And, you know, playing all them type of games, right? So that's what the vibes was initially when he was making these statements on me, right? So then I get tested, right? And I don't get tested just to prove these people wrong. I get tested on a regular basis. anybody who pay attention to me, you notice that I post my test results all the time, right? So when I just so happen to get tested after all of this nonsense, I post my test results, right? And I tag dude and I say, yeah, man, you was making some invalid statements about my pimping, man, and this is the proof that you was wrong. And instead of apologizing, he start backpedaling, making all these excuses and shit, right? So because he didn't apologize, I roasted the shit out of him on Facebook again, and then still was ready to get violent with him and all that type of stuff, right? So this all took place in the summer of 2016. So fast forward to 2017, right? Now, mind you, me and this guy have never physically met. We've never been in the same presence of each other, right? So fast forward to 2017, is fight weekend, Mayweather versus Pacquiao, you know what I mean? All the Mayweather fans, or all the McGregor fans, that I ain't gonna lie, McGregor fans came deep from Ireland. I'm not talking about just, Irish Americans with Irish heritage. No, I'm talking about people that were from Ireland. They came to Las Vegas deep to represent for McGregor. I give them people they props, right? But, the Irish people that was there supporting McGregor was running around up and down the strip talking about "fuck Mayweather." And all the Mayweather fans, was teasing them back, talking about "fuck McGregor." So it was a whole bunch of that going on. "Fuck Mayweather, fuck McGregor." And the pimping, we all deep over there by Planet Hollywood, top of the morning, right? The sun is just coming up. It's probably somewhere between 6 and 7 in the morning. We all deep over there by the Planet Hollywood, right? It's probably about 10 of us. Man, some good gentlemen was there, man. I don't want to say their names though, because I don't know if they want to be mentioned. But yeah, it was a lot of guys there, right? We over there congregating, chopping game, having a good time. And we standing on the steps by Planet Hollywood, right? On the side of Planet Hollywood that's close to Paris. So we standing on the steps, deep, chopping game. And lo and behold, who comes walking towards the Pimp circle? C-No Buster ass. So I see him before he sees me. And when I see him, I play the role as though I don't see him, right, as he's walking up to the circle. But I see out of my peripheral that when he gets about 30 feet away from the circle, he sees me in the circle, and he does not an about face, but he turns and goes, instead of going up the steps where we were, there's a ramp that's closer to the street where bicycles and wheelchairs and things of that nature can go. He goes to walk up the ramp and tries not to be seen. But I made it a point as he was walking over there to look him in his eyes. So now that I looked him in his eyes, he's like, oh shit, he done seen me. Now I gotta go over there. So once he and I make eye contact, he does an about face and comes up to the Pimp circle, right? So he greeting people, and he come up to me, and he like, "Hey P, can we go over here to the side and talk for a minute?" I'm like, "Nah, man, I'm cool." Now see, like I said, it had been some time, like a year or so had passed since all the nonsense happened on Facebook, and by this time, the game done dealt with me, man. It's fight weekend. I'm feeling extremely pimpish, and I'm not even on no bullshit with him. I just don't want to have nothing to do with him, right? So when I decline his, suggestion to step to the side, he keep pressing me to go step to the side and talk to him. So I say, look, man, after so many times of him trying to get me to go over there, I say, look, man, I really wanted to do something to your ass. Pause. You know what I mean? But you know, right now I'm cool. So what we can do is when you see me, just act like I don't exist, and when I see you, I'll act like you don't exist, and we could just keep it like that, right? So he just keep trying to talk to me, and he, mind you, and I'm not saying this to try to make myself appear like a tough guy or anything. This is just the truth. His hands was shaking when he was talking to me. He was extremely nervous, and I don't know if he thought I was gonna get violent with him or something like that, but his hands was shaking. He's super nervous, right? And even after I told him, I was like, you know, we just, you know, don't say nothing to me, I won't say nothing to you, we'll leave it like that. He keep trying to talk to me, right? He won't leave me alone. And then now mind you, all the way up until this time, you know, periodically, whenever he got something to say to me on social media, it's negative. He done called me everything but a child of God. But like all these busters do, when they talk crazy on the internet, these busters who I ain't never met before, every last one of them has tried to be my friend when they see me in the flesh. None of them have had the same energy that they had on the internet when we met face to face. Every buster who I never met before that talk crazy to me on the internet, when they meet me for the first time, they want to be friends. And this was the same case with C-No, right? So he start, you know, showering me with the compliments, talking about, oh man, Freeze, I gotta say, man, you's a hell of a pimp. And I'm looking at him like, like this is the same dude that tried to make it like I had an incurable disease, all because you was mad that I knocked your dream girl, you know, that you wish that you could fulfill your fantasies with. I'm a hell of a pimp. Okay. So, you know, I'm doing my best to ignore this guy, but he just will not leave me alone. So then that's when the spirit of roasting just came over a pimp. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you want a pimp's attention, man. Okay, we gonna give you what you want, but it might not be the way you want it, but it is what you want. You want a pimp's attention, I'm gonna give it to you. So, you know, I went from being quiet, man, to, like I said, the spirit of roasting and the spirit of pimping just consumed me. And I just start going in. I said, man, you know, one beautiful thing about this pimping, man, every pimp is like Michael Jordan, man. You know what I mean? We all Michael Jordan around this mug. So, like I said, it's about 10 pimps around. And I go up to every pimp and skip over his lame ass and say, hey, yeah, man, good morning, Mike. What's going on, Mike? How you doing, Mike? Man, top of the morning, Mike. Hey, Mike, hey, now, say now, Mike, what's going on, Mike? I go up to every pimp and shake their hand and address them by Mike, as in Michael Jordan, right? And like, yeah, man, you know, all the pimping, man, we like Michael Jordan, man, you know, and just like in the game of basketball, man, you know, you got these Sam Bowies in the game of pimping right now, you know what I mean, lingering around these Michael Jordan figures in this game, man. You got these Sam Bowie ass suckers around here, though, man, you know what I mean? But hey, man, you know, hey, it's gonna be all right, though, man. You know, even though Sam Bowie might hate on this Michael Jordan ass pimping, man, you know, it's all good, though. And so he trying to nibble as best he can. But, you know, he just, when it come to mouthpiece, when it come to roasting, you know, face to face, anybody could sound good on social media. But when it come to face to face, down in the round biting matches, he just don't have it. You know what I mean? So, he trying to nibble, and I tell him, I say, you know what? That's the beautiful thing about Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? Michael Jordan make everybody great around here, around him. You know what I mean? Anybody that come into Michael Jordan's presence, man, he make them greater. You dig? So, yeah, Sam Bowie, Hey, man, I'm going to make you great even if you can't make yourself great. You dig? I know you in need of a hoe. I know you're ho-po right now. But guess what, though, man? Hey, I'm going to knock you a 304 this morning even if you can't knock one for yourself. That's what Michael Jordan going to do with this pimping dough. So, man, this is what I did, right? And mind you, I'm so consumed by the spirit of roasting and by the spirit of pimping, and I'm so into what I'm doing. The entire time I didn't even notice that the boy Slim Jimmy from Ray Streamerd was standing off to the side because, like I said, it's top of the morning. Now I got a crowd. It's like squares, people in the game. Everybody is just crowded around, laughing and looking at this dude while I'm going in on him, right? So Slim Jimmy and his entourage were some of those people. He had probably about 6 or 7 people with him, and they were standing off to the side watching me roast C-Note and listening and laughing. But the whole time I'm so into what I'm doing, I didn't even see them. You know, Pimpin' had to tell me, like, hey, man, you know, such and such was just right there. I'm like, yeah, man, it's all good, man. Everybody a fan of this Michael Jordan type pimping, though, you know what I mean? So I'm just performing, right? So I tell him again, I say, yeah, Sam Bowie, you know what I mean? Michael Jordan pimping gonna knock you a 304 this morning, even if you can't knock one for yourself, because Mike make everybody great around him, right? So this is what I do. The first 304 comes walking up. Now, these ain't squares. These ain't attractive squares just coming out of the club or on their way to work or on their way to their hotel or on their way home. No, these is 304s that's down trying to check it. You dig? Getting to it. The first 304 comes walking by. I go up to the young lady. I say, good morning. How you doing? Shake her hand. She say, oh, I'm doing good. I say, do me a favor. You see that gentleman right there? She say, yeah. I say, yeah, his name is Sam. Sam Bowie. Do me a favor. Go up to him. Tell him good morning. Shake his hand. And tell him Mike sent you. Pippin can't make this shit up. The 304 goes and does it, right? She does it. She goes up to him. She shakes his hand, tells him good morning, and says, Mike sent me, right? So if that ain't a hell of an alley-oop, I don't know what is, right? So they talk for a few seconds, and then the young lady goes on about her way, and she waves at me and tells me, have a good day. I wave back, tell her the same. I'm like, damn, Sam Bowie, you know what I mean? That one did, you know, that one didn't, you didn't get to slam dunk that one, but don't trip, Sam Bowie. The morning ain't over with yet, man. I told you, man, I'm gonna knock you a 304 for yourself, even if you can't knock one for yourself, right? So 304 number 2 comes walking up. Again, same situation, not no square. It's a 304, you know, trying to shake something loose around here. She come walking up. I say, good morning. Shake her hand. How you doing? Oh, I'm good. How you doing? Oh, I'm blessed. Listen, do me a favor. You see that gentleman right there? Yeah. I say, his name is Sam. Do me a favor. Go up to him, shake his hand, tell him good morning, and tell him Mike sent you. So she goes and does it. Same thing. Shakes his hand. Good morning. How you doing? Mike sent me. So he tried to have a little conversation with her. You know what I mean? And it don't go nowhere again. And she, you know, walk off, say good, have a good day. I tell her have a good day. Same thing. You know what I mean? So he 0-2. I say, don't trip, Sam. It ain't over with yet, man. We gonna get you a 304 this morning. Michael Jordan pimping is gonna knock you a 304, even if you can't knock one for yourself. It ain't over with, man. We gonna make sure you gonna get a 304 around here for the morning over with. So 304 number 3 come walking up. Now 304 number 3 was a little different because she was spunky. She just had good energy. She was lively, personality. You know what I mean? She was open. She was friendly, approachable, very cool. You know what I mean? The first two 304s was cool, but this one right here, she was just like, she was lit. You know what I mean? Very attractive, little red bone. You dig? So I go up to her. I say, good morning. Shake her hand. How you doing? Oh, I'm blessed, baby. How you doing? Oh, I'm beautiful. I say, listen, you see that gentleman right there? Yeah. I say, that's Sam. Do me a favor. Go up to Sam, shake his hand, tell him good morning, and tell him Mike sent you. So she go prance over there, real light on her feet. You know what I mean? Good energy. She go shake his hand, and she tell him good morning. How you doing? Mike sent me. So it was something about the way she said it. When she said it to him, all the pimpin' started laughing, right? So when the pimpin' started laughing, she looks over her shoulder at me like this and says, oh, I know how to follow instructions. Oh, man. And, you know, he tried to, you know, have a conversation again, like the first 2 strikes. You know what I mean? He struck out the 3rd time. And the young lady went on about her business. But see, it's so cold how the game is, right? Because in the pimping, you know, they even agreed and let me know. They was like, Freeze, man, that 3rd one, that was really your 304. She really was trying to get with your pimping. And I agree. And I saw the action. And she was an attractive young lady. And I know that I could have had her. But, man, I was so consumed by the spirit of roasting. I just couldn't let up off this boy. So, man, I just continue roasting the hell out of his ass. And I let the big fish off the hook, man. I really had me one that morning, man. But I was even though I was being funny and I was roasting, I was serious because I really believed that my pimping is that great that I could knock you a 304 even if you can't knock one for yourself. Right? But, you know, for him that morning, it was 3 strikes you out. He ended up striking out. We did the best we could, but unfortunately, like I said, it was top of the morning. And, you know, no more 304s came walking past after those 3. So, you know, unfortunately, we didn't get to knock Sam Bowie a 304 that morning, man. But, you know, Michael Jordan did his best. You dig? And he went on to be the lame that, you know, he always was, and I'm pretty sure still is right now. You dig? And it's just crazy how you reap what you sow, man. Because the young lady who started all this mess, hey, man, from what I hear, life is giving her a indefinite, swift kick in the ass. Right? You know, because you got certain 304s, especially when they get older and they call themselves a vet and they done did some things and they pass, you know, they get to thinking that, especially when they fuck with simps and, you know, unpimpish individuals who feel blessed and fortunate to have them, you know what I mean, and treat them more like the prize than they treat themselves like the prize. Yeah, man, some of them type of chicks, man, they get beside themselves. They get to, you know, thinking that they bigger than the game, bigger than the pimping. And, hey, man, that shit always bites them in the ass in an ugly fashion. So, it's beautiful to remain humble, right? I'm a shit-talking individual. You know, I pops it and I chops it. And anybody who really know me know I talk shit. But I don't get beside myself. I remain humble. I don't treat people like they smaller than me or less than me or any of that. Right? And, you know, I was in a better position than him at that time, but I wasn't, you know, going in on him about how broke he was or, you know, he didn't have the best clothes on that day. You know what I mean? I didn't go in on him about, how cheap his clothes were or how cheap his shoes was. I didn't do none of that. You dig? I just stuck straight with the game. And that's how I do, right? And you'll notice like different individuals in the game, how they roast. Everybody roasts differently. I probably will do a video about that in the future, right? But me, when I roast, I keep it strictly about the game. You know what I mean? I don't roast people about their circumstances because circumstances could change. You know what I mean? What is it about you though? Yeah, we gonna go in on you, who you are as a man and supposed to be pimp. You dig? Yeah, man. But that's again one legendary roasting that I did, man, that unfortunately wasn't recorded. I wish it was recorded. And my partner Nucci, man, that was there. I went live on Facebook and I passed the phone to Nucci. And Nucci somehow, some way fumbled the live, man, and didn't record it, man. And, that's my partner. Nucci, I love you, but I'm still mad at you, man. Yeah, but it's all good, though, man. But hopefully y'all enjoyed that. Let that marinate on your mind one time. Freeze is it. Go ahead, put some of this good old love in your body like so. And of course, as always, long live the incomparable Sinful to Pete. We out. Dig this. I've been stroking relentless to get waves like this. I spoke into existence for her to pay like this. In the trenches on a day like this, traffic consistent, and so I have to insist that she relay my chips. It's a trap with her name on it and my game on it. Any forces coming against this game, shame on it. Standing on my pimpin' from day one and remain on it. It carried me through every terrain and I gained on it. Experience joy and pain on it, sustained on it.
But getting back to this game that I never left.